where you get a seeder with a separate tank. Theoretically, if it was available, I could put a larger tank on the tractor and carry more seed. I'm not sure how long we're going to keep these for. I mean, obviously, the Claas is completely overachieving when it comes to using all of the equipment we have on the farm. But having it does give me the option of going with bigger equipment sooner rather than later. But as I mentioned earlier, I will need a companion tractor. Because if everything needs 350 horsepower or thereabouts, I've only got one tractor that can do any of the tasks. That's not a good position to be in when you're harvesting 20 fields and the only tractor you have to haul your grain cart also is the only tractor you have that can do ploughing and seeding and stuff like that. If you're trying to turn the fields over quickly, you need a few more tractors or a smaller cart. So with the size of equipment I have, I could get away with a 200 horsepower, 250 horsepower tractor, which would be sufficient to operate all of our farm equipment for now. However, yeah, we're then limited to having the equipment that we currently have. You get more fields, you need to turn them over, or you need bigger equipment to be able to turn over more fields in a given length of time. Amount of time, length of time, time. Timey-wimey. Okay. Anyway, that's all the seeding we have to do this year. How's the cedar look? Cedar is in fairly good condition. I'll leave it out in the rain. We will do major servicing. Spring. No. Fall. We'll be planting maize in the spring in some of our grass fields, which means we'll be using the other planter. And this tractor could use a wash. I think something else will do. Oh, I should check things first. Drop the seed tank there and let's check the weather. And I do have a weather station, so it should be fairly accurate. It's sunny for the rest of the day. Okay, don't leave for tomorrow what you can do right now. Let's go do everything right now. I was considering holding off until tomorrow, but since tomorrow is gonna be wet, I think it's probably a very good idea to get the rolling and the cultivating contracts out of the way right now. Oops, let's lift that up. Okay, so I now have a weight on the front of this. I may put joules on it later, but not right this minute. In fact, what I might consider doing is when we're doing ploughing, actually it's only really when we're doing ploughing that I need the I have a traction issue. But obviously I don't expect us to have a problem rolling. This is, I think, 120 piece of equipment, so the tractor should be fine here. And then it just can't do the seeders or the cultivators. Plough's the only difficult job I've got for it. I'll also be running the baler off the back of this and stuff like that, so it's not really something it's going to need a lot of. It's not going to be pulling a lot of weight. Nope, that's not the button. That's the button. 12.3, 3 headland. I'd probably go down to 2. Centre first, counterclockwise. Counterclockwise is that way around. Generate field. Back, cancel back. Like I said, very wide piece of equipment. Should be able to close that now. And off it goes. So, because of the round edges, I will probably have to go around each of the corners at the end of this, but it'll get the majority of the work done. Meanwhile, I am not going to worry too much about GPS on this tractor quite yet. Obviously, cultivating it is a lot easier to do with GPS, but it's contracts. We don't have to be super accurate. Don't know if I've got sufficient diesel in the tank for this, but well, this is a big tractor. But okay, diesel tank is full. Nice. I don't think I had one of these on Maple. I can't remember. I have done. But the Claas 940 is a tractor I've featured on multiple Saturday series, which is why I kind of wanted to avoid doing it now. But it's a difficult vehicle to beat. Okay, this is the cultivator because it has no seeding attachments. Or I could just throw the weight on the floor. There we go. Okay, I probably should reselect the cultivator. And where are we going today? 96. 71. 85. I think we go 85, wander around, get over to 96, and I think we have to come out there and Go to 71 and that will bring us out on the main road. Seems like a plan. Let's do it. So yeah, and I did have a little discussion. I can't remember. I was watching a YouTube video and someone had said something about. I think they'd asked the question. I seem to need to. Do I need to fertilise twice? And it was kind of the answer came back only if you're not using precision farming. If you're using precision farming, you can. You can fertilise just the once, and I did mention, normally I would fertilise after the crop has germinated, not while it's being seeded. And part of the reason for that is, can you unfold? Thank you. Okay, we come to the field, we plant the field. If we throw down fertiliser when we're planting the field, can you use crop sensors? Because the crop sensors have no crop to sense. So how do they know they're doing a good job? And so I said normally what I do is I will seed a field. I might nitrogenate it with manure or slurry or digestate. So if I know a crop needs 150 litres per hectare of nitrogen, I might throw 100, 120 down with a slurry spreader. Then once I've done that, I will plant the crop, or plant the seeds, and I will wait until they germinate, and then I will turn the crop sensors on and I will spray them or solid fertilizer them. And the reason I do that is because there is an argument to be made that, well, until the crop's germinated, what's to detect with the crop sensors? So that's why I do it that way. And the guy did respond to me and said, that's actually a good point on the crop sensors. But I do try to use digestate or slurry on the field just to reduce my cost of liquid or solid fertilizer, because they can get kind of pricey, especially if you're going from, obviously the grass fields we have, grass only needs about 40 litres per hectare. But you put maize in, it needs 200. If you're going from 0 to 200, you need an absolute ton of fertilizer to get that up to ideal levels. So if you can do it without an animal product first and take the edge off, you don't use quite so much when it comes to is this crop withered? It's an interesting question. What is this crop? Means multiweed. It's double tillage. No, it's harvested. Oh, okay. Oh, it's probably something like, I don't know, what do you think? Potatoes or something? Just looks a little bit odd. I can probably find out what was harvested by looking at the crop type. Of course, I don't have to complete the field, all I have to do is enough. Which is good. which is why I can do it manually. Okay, this field is not exactly square on the compass, so I think 2 headlands is good. Oop. Okay, let's go back to here and grass. It was wheat. Ah. Okay. It was actually harvested wheat, allegedly. Oh! So, Cavalier Roy updated his textures. Week before the premium edition came out, and then he was visiting the stream last week and said he's got to put another update in after the premium edition goes in, because there's all sorts of stuff that this map doesn't involve with the premium edition. I'm guessing part of that is probably the crop calendar. This has a modified crop calendar for all the crops on the map, and it's likely that, or it's possible that the crop calendar for in base game crop calendar would have situations where we are planting the new crops when it's not really possible, or there's an insufficient time before the weather turns bad and we can't harvest them. And you can see that with things like, if I get into a line, I can't find a straight line on this map, on this field even. But if we go back to the crop calendar, you'll see that for something like potatoes, I've got 2 planting periods here. I can harvest into December. I can plant cotton in February. Well, that's interesting. But all of these are pretty much, I think, normally canola you can harvest into October. Not on this map. You can also plant canola in the spring. Not on this map. Wheat, no wheat planting, no spring planting of wheat. So this has a modified crop calendar, and I think he's probably going to have to install that for the new crops. Animal feeding is potentially an issue because we have a lot of modified production facilities on this map. Potentially the production as well may need to be modified. I don't know how much of a modification he has, but as I said, for the pre-premium edition update, he did change the crop textures, and I completely forgot that until I was looking at this and saying I don't recognize this, but no, I like it. It's good. And similarly, Maize Plus, because we're running Maize Plus with the all the things, the multiple types of silage and horse grass and what have you. That won't play well with the new crops, because we'll either not have the new crops available because Maize Plus has overwritten them, or vice versa. The Maize Plus crops won't be available because the new crops have overwritten them, depending what sequence they're loaded. And I'm not really bothered which way that works, just that I'm aware that it does. So we'll do what we do. But yeah, until at least Maize Plus and this map is updated, I'm not adding Premium Edition to this map, or to this save. As I said before, I don't really have time to play during the week or do any in-depth testing that I've done in the past. And I could fill up the Mountain Dew glass, that would be a plan. And that's a thing I've done, you know, I've actually taken time to do in the past, figure out seed usage rates, yield rates, stuff like that. I really don't have the time in the day to do it right now, so I haven't for Farm Sim 22. I mostly rely on other people. Farmer Cop's a good one, Disturb Simulations is a good one, Driver 53 Gaming. They do a lot of testing to see what's what. So this last week, as I said, I've been watching some YouTube videos and discovered that of the new crops, I don't think they're balanced. You compare things like potatoes and sugar beets, the existing root crops, the yield is significant. You know, million litres off a couple of fields that's a lot of stuff when you compare, well, I get 200,000 litres from the same 2 fields in wheat. But the wheat's worth 4 times the amount. So yes, they're balanced. You will get similar incomes, but the root crops you do get more because you have to put in more play time to get the crops done. And what I mean by that is the harvesters are generally narrower working width, and the carts can only carry 40,000 litres, whether it's wheat or potatoes. So you've got to take 10 times more trips to the store with your potatoes than you do with the wheat. So it's playtime. So you're rewarded a little bit in having the potatoes yield times value pay out a little bit more than the wheat yield times value. But you compare wheat, barley and oats. Oats are more valuable, but they yield lower. Barley is the least valuable, but you get about 5% more yield than you do of wheat. Consequently, barley is a better food source because it yields more per acre. And animals don't care what the value of the food you're feeding them is, they just care about how much you give them. So, but with the new crops, carrots yield the most, they're generally the most valuable, and it appears they're about 3 times the value of potatoes. Now, there's an argument to be made that they are more labour intensive because unlike potatoes, the new harvesters do not have capacity. So you have to drive along unloading them as you go, kind of like a forage harvester. You can't let a forage harvester run around on its own harvesting stuff. You have to babysit it. You have to go with it and unload it on the fly. And these new harvesters need to be unloaded on the fly. So, as a general note, I prefer sugarcane to potatoes because the sugarcane harvester has a bigger capacity. So I don't have to unload it quite so often as I do the potato harvester. But I still have to unload it a significant number of times. So it's not like it's that much less labour intensive. But yeah, it is what it is. As I said, yeah, so it looks like carrots are seriously overpowered. OP crop carrots. And parsnips and red beets aren't that far behind. But they are definitely a slightly lower yield than carrots and a slightly lower value than carrots. But all three of them are significantly more than potatoes and sugar beets, which is usually what I base my my most valuable crop per hectare basis on. I have no knowledge of sugarcane. I've done it once when I played Estancia Lapacho at the original release for about 3 weeks, and then said, yeah, that's nice, I'm done. But I didn't pay enough attention to the yield and value. Obviously, I do know with sugarcane it'll grow 3 times, or it might grow forever. I can't remember. But typically after 3 harvests, when it was introduced, you needed to lime every 3 harvests, and it's still in the ground. So most people would lime and replant it after 3. But I'm not sure you actually have to do that. You just have to figure out how to relime the field if you want the best yield. Kind of like with grass. So I base most of my observations on potato sugar beet knowledge, because I have done a lot of sugar beet and potato harvests at my courses of Farm Sim. And then going forwards, the big crop in Scotland actually is barley and rye, but rye is not an option on this map, so I'm not going to be doing any rye harvesting. But we are going to be doing a lot of barley. We can do potatoes. Carrots is a thing. So are turnips, but not a crop we can do, and Brussels sprouts, and I think broccoli or something like that. But of the new crops, carrots is a thing. So I could do carrots. Carrots agriculturally in Scotland is about 20% of the potato harvest for Scotland. So they plant a lot more potatoes than they do carrots. But carrots are still quite a high percentage of their agricultural space. Logging is also big, but I don't know if I'll get to logging. I should do. I have some challenges with the trees around our farm. Ugh. Stick that back on. That was one thing I did want to check on. Hi. Farmland, that field there. The percentage cost on that is coming down. It was up at 60% at one point. We're now down to about 43. So, hopefully they'll get cheaper. But for